All right, thank you for staying with us. And this morning, we'll be talking about the state of Nigeria security and what the government is doing, to handle all of these things. And yesterday, the man that was nominated earlier in the week, that was screened a day after that, has been sworn in, is General Christopher Gwabi Musa, former Chief of Army Staff, former Chief of Defense Staff, and is now the Minister of Defense. It was sworn in at the villa yesterday in the presence of family and friends and all of those persons. So he has taken an oath of office, and in a statement released by Bayo Onanuga, the special advisor to the president on information and strategy, he said on Thursday, the man, Christopher Musa, was sworn in as Minister of Defense, and his appointment follows the resignation of Muhammad Badaru, born in Sokoto in 1967. General Musa was commissioned as a second lieutenant to the Nigerian Army in 1991 and had a distinguished military career. He was appointed Chief of Defense Staff by President Tinubu in 2023 and retired in October 2025. And with his swearing in, the new defense minister is expected to immediately assume duties as the Tinubu administration seeks to consolidate recently gained security gains and fast-track reforms aimed at achieving lasting peace and stability nationwide. I take that part again. Is expected to immediately assume duties as the Tinubu administration seeks to consolidate recent security gains and fast-track reforms aimed at achieving lasting peace and stability. And of course, in that particular room yesterday was the Senate President, Gosola Pabio, the Senate Leader, Kwemi Bamidele, Senate Committee on Judiciary, Right and Legal Matters, Chairman, Senator Adeni Yadegbomire, the Minister of Information, Mohammed Idris, the NSA, Nuri Badu, and other persons, including the wife, Mrs. Lillian Ogogo Musa. We have with us today, of course, there you go on the screen, when he was taking the oath of office, and of course the handshake with Mr. President, and then signing himself into working for the good people of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We have with us in the studio today a public affairs analyst who is going to be looking into this issue, and very shortly we'll have another analyst join us, Comrade Lanre Fadahunsi. It's good to have you. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good to be here.
Right. Let's get into it. Are you impressed with this appointment, actually, the nomination, the screening, the confirmation, and now the swearing in of the man, Christopher Musa? On the program yesterday, we had the guest, and I asked the question. It seems it's been a long time while Nigerians, even apart from the people in power, it's been a long time when they have been rooting for a particular individual to take a particular place, and that is what we saw in Christopher Musa. Tongues whacked when the man, was relieved of his duty as the Chief of Defense Staff. Some would say maybe the president always have his eyes on this man taking over as minister, because Badaru was still in service then, but our politicians do their thing. But my main question is this: are you impressed with his appointment? Because it seems this man, in a long while, when talk about appointments, has a goodwill of the people. Do you feel that way?
Thank you. First and foremost, I saw it as something that looks like a style.
Okay.
Yeah, because the idea of removing these service chiefs emanated from, one, the position of Donald Trump talking about the security situation in Nigeria. To someone like me who have listened to General Musa on Al Jazeera and other stations, international stations, talking about the insecurity thing, I was like, wait, this person gets to me as one who has information and who is trying to work at it. However, when they were removed, it brought out the rehash of the Buratai days. When their tongues were wagging about the insecurity in Nigeria, the Buratai team were all removed and people were clapping, oh, good, maybe we want to take a step further. And the next thing, he was appointed an ambassador. And so many of those removed. So it doesn't mean the nation looked at what they were doing as not good enough, but rather to just douse tension around their appointment. Because you cannot say, oh, maybe they were not working well let's remove them. And then you're appointing them almost immediately. As ambassador to Republic of Benin, Buratai was there, and several others were given appointments in government again. So when this one happened, it occurred to me that, wait, yes, some of us love Musa, the way he cuts across to the media and opens up on issues, but then almost immediately taking this stance now. But personally, I think it might work to advantage of Nigerians. A military hierarchy is an institutionalized place where you take orders from somebody you see as superior. And so bringing a civilian to be defense minister, they'll tell you, look, you can give your political direction. We are listening to our boss. Yeah. So now their boss is the defense minister. He can talk to the general next to him and give instructions, and we would see direct information from the commander-in-chief. Because whoever is standing as minister is representing the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. But then you don't have a background in the military. You hardly can give direction to anybody in the military. They won't take it. The most senior person to him as a military person is the person he listens to. So I see that as a good thing being done. However, the timing, because it was a time that we were afraid that maybe America wants to come without recourse to our military and do some things that are military actions in Nigeria. However, America is what we look at democratically, and I think we should look into the history of America and changes in the service chiefs. Chairman of Joint Chiefs of Staff, the position has changed hands 22 times since 1949 in America. So you look at down the line, Chief of Staff of the Army since 1903 has changed hands 41 times, all based on institutional policies. You must spend this number of years as Army Chief. When you retire, the next person to you takes over. So that order has only been thwarted twice under Donald Trump. Talking about 1947, 1915, 1903. That order has always been there. Only Donald Trump, the unconventional changes happened in 2025 and 2019 under Donald Trump. But look at the situation. Nigeria is one country where you have army generals retired before age 55 in hordes. They had all the military training. They were supposed to serve Nigeria till age 60, but the politics of Nigeria keep changing them. You remove like 30 generals at a go at age 50, 55. It's a risk. It is a risk. They have been highly trained by the country, and all because of the shenanigans of the political class, you keep removing them. Do you know the amount of information they have within them? In America, if there's going to be a war room, you will see generals aged 90, 70 recalled. Even if they can't go to war, they have the knowledge and advice they can give to the army. But we just ignominiously remove them, all because we want our main Fridays to hold office. We cannot be solving political situations in that way. We've had this issue happen several times. I know of generals who are still under 60, who have been retired some 5, some 10 years back, and you begin to wonder why. And it all happened in the space of years of our civil rule. And we dip our hands into institutions that are supposed to be over and above these shenanigans. The ones that happened under Trump was thwarted at a point that, look, wait, we must rejig the system. And Pence, who was his vice president, ensured that the Capitol Hill attack in that election of that year. So he supervised the removal of Trump through electoral process. So to me, I think, yes, General Musa comes to me but my greatest fear is when people are eloquent, intelligent, and deep knowledge, when they say A is A, when they are part of A, you want to believe them. When they are part of B, you will still believe them. Because I have seen someone like El-Rufai defend his position on some issues, and you see intelligence there, and the moment is on the other side, he's still defending against those issues, and you'll be wondering, wait a minute. So wherein lies sincerity in all of these positions? So to me, yes, Musa has caught my heart. He told us, wait a minute, we catch people who are insurgents. And the next thing we are seeing words of dollar bills on them. Where did they get dollars? Who's giving them the dollars? So he's talking about the international connection, the nexus of business-minded people in all the crises in the Northeast and Northwest and all those places. So on the North.
All right. Before we go ahead, we understand we have another analyst, security analyst, Deyemi Saka, with us. He joins us virtually. Mr. Saka, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thanks for having me. And I see what I probably would love to jump at. I would like to correct the other panelists in the studio. It wasn't politics that sought to the, purging of the military, like of the generals, like you said all the time. What happened was it was meant to reset the system. Yes, the DIA, Defense Intelligence Agency, the DMI, the DHQ, Defense Headquarters, did not come out to tell us that truly, yes, there was a coup plot or there was an aborted coup plot or thwarted coup plot. But one of the things that was in circulation was that those coupists, alleged coupists, were claiming stagnation of career. And that happened because of the long stay of the service chiefs under Muhammadu Buhari. And in a bid to reset the system, because what happened during Buhari's era was a lot of people that should have been promoted or elevated from the rank of a colonel to brigadier general got stagnated on that rank for like 3 years, 4 years, thereabout. And all they kept doing was they kept moving around, creating a lot of directorates at the DHQ and what have you. And instances at Adeosun, that should have been the chief of army staff at some point. So sometimes we should get to understand why some policies were made. Everything is not just about politics. Some is about a response to the system. Some is about to correct the system. It's like tomorrow now, the DSS wants to recruit and now gives Anambra or gives whatever states or southern Nigeria more slots than the northern Nigeria. Somebody's saying it is nepotism. But no, it's a response to balance the skilled or the inappropriate recruitment of Buhari, where Adamawa as a state has more cadets than the whole of southern Nigeria. So we should try to balance our conversations and with flipping back into history to get things right. Now, to the issue at hand, to the issue of foreign currency being found on bandits and what have you, there's a policy that speaks to how they get these forex. In the bit they call it starvation of funds in counterinsurgency or counterterrorism. The floating of the naira was to address that, and I believe that if you get to arrest bandits these days, you probably will not find them with so much foreign currency like you did way back. And secondly, when they want to collect their ransoms, they're always asking for such. Because it's easier to carry dollars than naira.
All right.
Okay, Mr. Saka, I'd like to ask you, we've known a culture of promises with our public office holders. We've known that over the years. And the new Minister of Defense, rather, has made a lot of promises. During his grilling, he said it was going to start with the probing of the killing of the general, Musa. It was going to start with the probing of what happened exactly at in Kebbi, where those soldiers left the place shortly before the insurgency took place. All of those things, and then now being sworn in, he has made lots of promises that we're going to see results, and all of those. How do you, number one, do you see this as an era where we're going to move from the place of promises to results? And two, how do you see him going about this, especially now as he's no more really, in the army per se, and he's now a civilian himself, but to oversee military operations and all of this?
Well, I should correct this, and I know General Musa is quite aware of this as well. As the Minister of Defense is not in the command, control, communication structure of the military. As a military, yes, you could set up probes and everything, but it still lies with the military authorities. That is one. Secondly, I want to speak to the withdrawal of troops at Birinke in Kebbi State. Because when the Mr. President ordered the Minister of State of Defense to relocate to Kebbi State, I was fortunate to be part of the contingent that was on ground. And during one of the intelligence analysis sessions, we probably tried to understand that politicians will see things from their perspectives. And without any sense of disrespect, they'll see it as civilians. During that session, I was made to realize that on a daily basis, and this is not me making excuses for the military, but just trying to put things in clear perspective. On a daily basis, they receive almost 20 to, let's say, 50 to 100 intels. They have to now see which is accurate and which is inaccurate, which is a bogey, which is a deliberate one to set them, on a wide good chase. And probably when those guys were on ground and waited till around 4, 5 a.m., they imagined that, yes, it's another boogie intel, let's go back to base. And I think the moment they left, when they realized that, no, it was a valuable intel, and those guys, because what those guys did, they had spotters on ground. Spotters are people you plant along the way to tell you when enemies are coming. Mm-hmm. And it's so sad that they have spotters on ground. Obviously, for them to carry out the operations, they had collaborators on ground. People from that region, that state, that zone, that community are serving also as spotters that told them that, yes, the military have gone, you can now come and attack. And so when that happened, you saw the prompt response, how the whole area was cordoned off, where the bandits couldn't move out of Birin Kebbi to the envisaged or probably projected location, either in Kaduna or Katsina, or probably go rendezvous with those guys in Niger. That brought about why they were quick to release the girls when they were contacted. So it's very sometimes some issues just trying to pander to the sentiments of the people who could derail a lot, could derail your operations, could dampen morale, could even scuttle what you want to achieve. I think we should concentrate more on the action plans and getting results than probably coming up with rhetoric to satisfy the sentiments or placate the sentiments of the placate Nigerians. That's why I see it.
All right, comrade, you've heard what he said, and now from your own perspective, a former general in the army now, who has been quoted to serve in the civilian space, is saying that we're going to probe, that action or that incident. How do you see it?
I see it as apt and the best thing to do, because if in the same country, like he spoke about spotters, and somebody who is a bandit was quoted to have said that if an ant should enter Sambisa forest, they will know. We have been told that bandits are using drones to monitor their space. So why can't the Nigerian army have means of technology to know where the spotters are? How come they had to leave? Hello, when you are a nurse or a doctor in a hospital, you are on a shift. If you're told there's a patient somewhere, so there is a risk factor. I mean, hazarded about a position or a place. When those people even had to leave, whether boogie, something or the other, there should be a replacement. You must hand over to another, at least for a period of time.
Not
a situation where they leave and the next minute there's an attack. Hey, look, I mean, yes, from information from Mr. Saka, I know he's probably embedded in part of those who go on missions with the military. So, I mean, it's like a military spokesperson to me. I'm speaking like a Nigerian. I've spoken about a situation where institutionalized places like the army should not be looked into like that. In the past, when we had a military government, when there's a coup attempt, they solve it their way. They don't go to regular courts. The court martial, they deal with their people their way. They don't bring them to regular court. But in a situation where they said rumors of coup and the rest of it, and then that was where we were rejigging, and the next minute some people are speaking about nepotism again. We can't criticize Buhari about nepotism. We can't criticize Buhari about nepotism and not look at it under Tinubu administration. Because, I mean, if it was bad then, it would have to be bad even now.
All right.
But in institutions that have structures, that was why I was referring to the American model. that it had happened just twice. People ran their time of office. And when they leave, the next will take charge, not minding whether it's from Hawaii or wherever.
All right.
You must take. So in our situation, you see, there was a time over 30-something police chiefs were sacked because the police commissioner under Buhari had to become IGP. These are things, when I spoke about the politics, I wasn't talking about just the military.
All right.
I was talking about institutions and the Nigerian government.
Now, let's talk about, I'll come to Mr. Saka because I understand you have limited time with us and we always appreciate your involvement. Now, the new tax, you know, in front of the man, you know, that's the other leg of Tope's question the other time. How do you see him, you know, getting the desired result right now? Because it's one thing when he was in the military, active service, backing out orders. I mean, I use a word now, giving orders. Oh dear, everybody, you know, you would do that as he has said, as the man in charge. Now, he's no more in that khaki, he's in the mufti, but his connection with the boys on ground, he has just left them. He didn't leave them 5-10 years ago and he has, you know, he had to be brought back. No, active service, he has just left. So, do you think we enjoy that comradeship, that, you know, once a soldier, always a soldier, and being a fresh person that he was commandeering them? That's number one. Number two, he's going to be working with politicians, technocrats, directors, civil servants in that particular ministry. But then he has come in at a very critical time that we need to prove to ourselves that we are serious as a nation. We need to prove to, you know, the outside world, the global community, especially the US, that we can hold our own. How do you see him prospering and navigating these murky waters? Because he doesn't have that time, Mr. Saka. You and I know Nigerians wants to see results. I want us to speak on that. That is the elephant in the room right now.
I think we should be moderate with our expectations of Musa. The good thing about it is Musa represents the kinetic approach to the fight against terrorism and insecurity. Matawale represents the non-kinetic approach to insecurity and what have you. But for anybody that is versed, informed enough about the Constitution, we know that the role of ministers, especially when it comes to defense and their role as members of the National Defense Council, Part G, third schedule of the 1999 Constitution, is just purely advisory. They don't have any role. Yes, they supervise, like Matawale supervised the Navy, the defense, the military intelligence, and what have you, and by extension, defense industry. The minister, the other minister, because there's no junior, there's no senior minister, supervise the army and the air force and every other component of the military. It's probably would mean that we'll be having executive, let me say, appropriate advisory or advice to the president on how to combat this as well. Yes, we expect a bit of respect from the guys, and there's nothing they want to tell him that it's probably not aware of. Right. A lot of people also questions the expertise or credentials of Matawale. But a lot of people forget at some point as intellectual intelligence community, but serving as the chairman of House of Representatives on Intelligence. So we look at the team, and you probably want to say we probably will get it right. And also, we can't talk about the appointment of Musa without giving credit and due accolades to the outgoing minister, Badaro, that was sacrificial enough not to want to hand on to office out of desperation, that felt my body is too weak, I can't go on. So these are things we should look at. And to correct one thing, Comrade Tokwe said, I'm hoping I get his name right. When I said spotters are not uniform dogs. Spotter is just a term to describe actions of some persons. Like I'll tell you, there was a military drone, there was an army drone operations in Kaduna in the early days of this administration where a location was bombed, and the next thing we saw was people crying that was a religious gathering. I will tell you, no, it was the people of those communities or community that compromised military operations, because under 90 minutes, how could an identified zone change call sign from an hostile zone to a religious gathering? So even people, members of the communities or what community or probably I don't know how you want to say it, serves as spotters. Because what they are doing is to spot the movement of either your movement, either you are coming to attack or you are moving away from a location. Let's be clear about these things. We all want results as Nigerians.
Yeah.
I'm not a spokesperson of the military, but let's get it clear.
All right. We understand and we appreciate that your military, connection, relationship. Thank you for that. At least for speaking from that front, it brings balance. Now, you talked about a Matawale. I'm not sure if actually you have seen an old video of Matawale that has surfaced online, in which while he was governor, he was in Abuja and he addressed the press and he appeared to be sympathetic. He was explaining away why not all bandits are bad or while they are victim of the system, and something that
categorizations are different.
Yeah, and how he's looking like something that the Sheikh Gumi will say in this particular video. Oh, I think we should just take a listen.
Now, sir,
please hold on, sir. Let's take a look at this video.
No, or maybe if you investigate what is happening, it's the same. And it's not all of them are criminal. Not all of them are criminal, because if you know, or maybe if you investigate what is happening or what makes them to take those laws into their hand, some of them sometimes were cheated by so-called Insecurity, and I have to ban completely the Insecurity in my state. The Insecurity, those called vigilante group, who normally went to their settlement, destroy their property and take their animals, So they doesn't have anyone to speak with. So sometimes they are going for revenge. Like if Insecurity attack them, so they will go for reprisals. So that is what exactly happening.
All right, so Mr. Saka, you hear a governor speak this way. Hold on, sir, let me land. Speak this way. And you know what? Even without the political undertone, the governor there now, Dauda Lawal, has been speaking publicly about Matawale's connection and his role in insurgency. In fact, many persons question the rationale behind President Tinubu's appointment of Matawale, among other positions, of being in charge of that ministry. And that many persons now see that if he's having this ideology, this idea about bandits, how total, how effective can this war against insurgency be now that there is a Musa who has just left the front line with somebody who has been there with this ideology, if you understand what I mean?
Yeah, I hope if I speak to this, I will not be seen as an apologist of Matawale. I won't lie about it. I have a relationship with him, and that was what informed.
Right.
And that was what because I can say things. I was in Zamfara in 2022.
Okay. In
the height of banditry, to see on his invite and what have you, and I can tell you from the whole stretch of Sokoto, because I landed in Sokoto, to Madu, his village, and to Guzo, the state capital, I didn't see up to 3 deployments or detachments of military personnel in a zone that should be militarized. What am I trying to say? And to speak to what he said, he wasn't speaking about the banditry attacks or bandit attacks on persons. He was trying to explain the effects or the counter effects of profiling, when and truly, to anybody in Zamfara State, they will tell you that the excesses of those vigilante groups before they were banned, and he created the community policing, community protection guards. Those guys goes after these guys to do the cattle rustling as well. They attack the Fulani settlement, and oftentimes the Fulani guys are conducting reprisal attacks on the vigilante groups, not communities. And I think there was a follow-up video where he explained that as well. So to that much I can tell you. This is a man that around 3 a.m. one day, and this is not maybe psychophantic and big factual. We were talking, he was telling me how much he wanted to and some things he wanted to be done that could combat banditry but couldn't be achieved. He was the one that first locked down his states and didn't get the cooperation of other northern states. And that move was to cut logistics to these guys. And the federal government under Muhammadu Buhari with his NSA was now meant to come with the military might and the kinetic approach and push them out of the country. But that did not happen. So, on his appointment, I probably want Nigerians to know that even if for everything you want to say, I don't think the defense as an institution, when it comes to defense, the Defense Intelligence Agency, Directorate of Military Intelligence, Department of State Security and Service will sit down and have so much against this man. I will not push it forward to Mr. President. That if to people that know Zamfara, Dauda Lawal is playing the politics of Zamfara. And I'm not trying to politicize security here. Right. As much as Matawale is the federal minister and holding such a key role, it becomes so much of a key personality in Zamfara state. And that is why Dauda Lawal wants him out of that office, because once he's out of that office, Dauda Lawal becomes the #1 citizen of the state. I've been to Zamfara when Matawale is the minister, as the Minister of State for Defense. And the protocol of the governor stands down. And the governor doesn't want, that's the politics that's playing out here. That a lot of people should probably get informed about.
All right.
I don't want to say things that is just quite speculative. Just the same way the allegiance of Matawale to whatever is quite speculative. I don't want to go to court.
All right, Mr. Saka, let me hold you there. Comrade. Yeah. He has talked about profiling. That's the former governor now, who's Minister of Defense for State, is talking about profiling. Like that video was about profiling. You've seen other Senate clients, how they profile people. Recently, Canada profiled the APC and some other political parties as terrorist organizations. You know profiling. How would you see now? This is a very sensitive issue. That was a sensitive issue. Yeah, and we're talking about profiling. You're speaking to the media, people who put out what you've said out there, especially as they perceive what you're saying. Talking about profiling and perception there, what would you say about what he was saying in his position as even governor at that time of the state?
Now, I will tell you the mercantile aspect of all this terrorism we are talking about is what people look away from. Zamfara is rich in gold, just like some parts of Osun. And when, I think it was Matawale as governor that closed all those mines because of insurgency and all attached to that. It was a business. It was not Nigeria's business, as it were, because it was like the gold belonged to some hierarchy of people. Reality, not just facts. And each time a governor leaves, in most of those northern states where that mining is going on, Al-Mustafa is not just somebody that will be flippant with figures and issues, because he was a military person himself. He said it's all about the mineral resources. So the insurgency there is not religious, as it were. It is not totally for the sake of the people. It's more mercantile, it's business. And so when one governor leaves, the governor tries to, put another person who is a stooge, and the stooge sees the gold belonging to him and no longer to his boss. Some of these things are just assumptions that people you cannot really place it, but it has more to do with commerce. So at the end of it all, you need to chase farmers from their farmlands so that mining could go on. They didn't chase farmers from Tagumodi and the rest of it. They actually bought their lands and started mining. Do you understand? So all of these things has to do with commerce. And when it does, it becomes an issue of insecurity. I want to say this without any fear of equivocation, that Nigerian armed forces are superior by standard training and orientation, that my position is leave them do their job. Stop bringing your commerce to do it. The DSS of late, you will observe, keeps telling Nigerians, we have seen this, and they bring it out in their informations because when they give it to military intel and the rest of it, probably don't get results. That this might happen here. If you are media people, you know it's unusual. But these days we see them bring it to public forum. That this might happen in these places. The DSS people knew what happened when there were plans to remove Jonathan. They knew those who were meeting. They knew those who were recruiting forces from the Sahel region and the rest of it. That in case Jonathan does not want to leave, those forces will face him. It was a Frankenstein that we created as a solution that became a monster on us. And we don't have to cover it up. I'm not castigating the military. I'm only saying that the political class should allow the military state. If you talked about Matawale, let the international community tell you what they know. They have bigger intel than we can just be.
Should we always leave it for the international?
No, we are not leaving it for them. Do you know? Did you know? Okay, let's call it.
That's why Tokwe is asking.
Let me say something now.
Hold on, sir. That's why Tokwe is asking. What do you make of that statement from Matawale? Even if it's from 2 or 3 years ago when he was still governor, the communication in that place and the perception.
I'll take them
in a minute.
Because we see
together
other classifications of terrorism. Sir, whatever they do, it's terrorism.
Because when you
we were all in Nigeria,
state, and you are trying to
when someone was traced to a governor's house at Abuja, the United Nations bomber, and they said he was speaking from a house at is it Maitama or so, belonging to a governor. The governor is the vice president now. And he's explaining now that he sat with some bandits because they were trying to make peace. So you see, when people are saying we don't want kinetic, what is the army supposed to do? And the army are managers of force and violence. And they must do it professionally. And you're now telling them, let's not use kinetic. Let's talk to these people so that they don't spoil the names of their family. People who have been killing others should not spoil the names of their families. What are we talking about? They spoke to people at Kwara so that they released people. And when they released those people, those 3 people that were killed by them, what do you say about that? Dapchi came, they took the children from Dapchi, brought the children back, did not bring Lasharibu back. Did anything happen? Nothing happened. And when they have dropped the children, there was no military intel to follow them back to their forest and engage them. We cannot, Nigerian army, the army officers and all, are perfect professionals. Wherever they go in the world, they take awards and accolades for being best or best practices. They went to Sierra Leone, they went to Liberia and other places, and they did well. Why can't that happen here?
Let me take you to Mr. Saka now.
Highly trained.
As we are crossing home on this particular topic, Mr. Saka, a guest of ours yesterday spoke on this matter and said, if the commander-in-chief that superintends everyone and everybody in this nation will support General Musa and we explicitly support the military, he said, no matter how terrible this war is, we can make results. We can have headway. In fact, he gave some instances to say the same way President Tinubu is exclusively supporting Nyesom Wike in whatever he's doing as the minister of the FCT and maybe 1 or 2 other ministers. Because my question that yesterday was, how will he be able to manage these murky waters now that he's coming? And maybe there is a reason why Mr. President has taken an old boy, a former soldier, to come and head this ministry. He says, if the CNC is interested in supporting the ministry, either it's Mr. Musa or Matawale, the same way he has been exclusively supporting one of these ministers and the military, he said we can always get results. That is not that bad. Do you agree with him? That the CNC needs to have the political will to say, boys, go ahead, I support you.
It's not some lack of political will.
Really?
No, it's not lack of political will. I think it's just the president has to demonstrate, and with all sense of respect to his office and his persons, and for civility as well, he has to demonstrate a level of insensitivity. I don't want to use the word that comes to mind because of sanctions and what have you. You have to be insensitive to collateral and non-combative collateral damages. You have to be insensitive to biodiversity. You have to be insensitive to economic implications or economic relevance of what's happening. And what am I saying? For every identified forest that these guys are, for every identified locations that we know that they are keeping people as human shields, for every location that's identified locations as where illegal mining operations and they've erected their camps, Mr. President must give a clear go of carpet bombing of those places. Even
with people, civilians there, those so-called human shields.
That is why I said he has to be insensitive, because the question is, when would they not have human shields? When would they not have people in captivity? When do you want to tell yourself that there will be a break and we can strike them? You can't tell.
Can't we prevent?
Every time they know that you want to go to the extreme,
Mr. Saka, can't we prevent these abductions from happening on this scale?
Now, let me explain something. There was a move by this government, which I keep telling people that they are unaware of, and I don't blame them because the communication managers of this government didn't do well enough. There was the forex, the removal of subsidy on forex, which is called the floating of the naira, was to make a move to cause starvation of funds for tourism. And what these guys are doing, they are expanding and they are stretching the military forces by creating many theaters of conflict. So, based on this, you can track, because you are responding to an issue in location A and they are taking you to B12. How do you want to manage? And the truth of the matter is, up to 2015, the combined strength of our armed forces is around 150, 170,000. We are still hovering around 300,000 as we speak, when Nigeria needs nothing less than 750 to 1 million standing force or troops. So we are on demand. So there's no way we can really get this done. And secondly, the people compromise. And that's the truth, because there's a saying in Yoruba, an average Fulani man doesn't know. In Isolu, and I could speak to the kidnapping in Eruku, it wasn't targeted at Christians. In Isolu, they go to people's homes regularly, because in Isolu, there's a huge Fulani population. They have a settlement between Odueri and Egbe, or between Egbe to the Ekiti local government in Isolu, on your way to Kwara. So how they can't really save out the bad ones, because they are within them. They now live, they reside, they've intermarried. So, and what's happening in Isolu, in around whatever, there's also a gold mining happening in Kogi State. So, for me, at the point, Mr. President needs to tell himself and tell Nigerians this is sacrifice. When they see that the president of the commander-in-chief is exhibiting so much, precision and decisiveness against them, and I will not, as a commander-in-chief, just bomb the forest and leave. I will chase them into Njame in Chad. I will chase them into Naomi in Niger. That's why I'm going to turn back.
All right.
And that's what we need.
The war, according to you, there are things that we might just have to sacrifice.
You just have to just live with it. If you want this thing to end, you have to be, if I have used the word ruthless and insensitive, like Nigerians, and there are a lot of things you could do as a commander-in-chief. Probably the day of the operation will be a day, and you remember those people with stars, or no soldiers, or no patriots, and there's a day, in fact, we might even change that day to our national day. To remember them, the sacrifices they made, or to keep Nigerians safe. Bomb as by the time you level the forest, and instead if the trees are they will run. I have a friend that's a general that was part of then was a colonel. It was on the field in Maiduguri. He says, unlike when he was later deployed to Cross River or Akwa Ibom to deal with IPOB there, that when he was coming at them and those guys dropped their weapons and ran away. That's an average Boko Haram fighter. You shooting the guy is still, before the guy goes and still shooting at you. You are killing them, many of them to retreat, they are still charging towards you.
All right, comrade. However, howbeit in movies, we've seen, especially the American military, go into places with terrible, deadly terrorists in there, with hostages right there. We've seen their precision operations. We've seen how well they were able to salvage the situation, bringing home sometimes all of the hostages, no casualty. Is there a way, another way, apart from this way that Mr. Saka is proposing? Is there another way around the situation?
The reality of it is that the military should be allowed to do their job. And the commander-in-chief of the armed forces will just give a direct order. End this problem. It's a war situation. When you're in a war situation, you don't sermonize, you don't sentimentally look at whatever solves this war situation, go do it. I give you direct orders. Whatever you need, ask, we will provide. I mean, because look at it this way. Start it from Chibok girls. The DSS said they had intel that it was going to happen. Okay. Gave intel to the governor. Let these children not take exams in that school because they will be kidnapped. It was not done. Let's take them to Abuja or even bring them to Maiduguri where we can close them in somewhere so they take their exams. It was not happen. It did not happen. So some of these things are there in public space. Hello, if we are saying, yes, Zamfara is a particular case with that man and Matawali, have you looked at Professor Zulum that points at Abuja that each time they take steps, it appears thwarted from Abuja end? You recall, the governor of Benue said the same thing. Abagu said the same thing. That all these issues is pointing to some individuals who are influential and close in a way to bandits. To all of this. So if we are getting those informations and we are still deceiving, because that's why I look at it, we are still deceiving ourselves that there are no hands of people who probably, you recall during the Buhari days, they will say, oh, repentant Boko Haram, they will pardon some and say they are going after others. Yes, because some people recruited some. And so you don't throw your recruits under the bus when their need does not appear to be relevant anymore.
At this point, I'd like to ask you, how do you think this should start? Naming of the financiers, fishing them out first, holding them captive somewhere, and then going after, using the kinetic operation then? Or how do you see this going?
I'll tell you very straight. One, the Kaduna train attack. Those people track miles on motorbikes till they got to where they caught nobody. Then that's why I said if an El-Rufai is on a position, he will give you information that he said we all know where they are. He was accusing the military for watching that happen. Probably he was not part of that arrangement and he felt bad about it that it happened around Kaduna and he was the governor. I had a relation on that train. Those guys were asking for $200,000, not naira. And in most cases, for those they released, they collected the money. And that was when Mamu was the go-between. So we know all of these things happening. We cannot continue to pretend it's not happening. That's the truth. It is commerce to some people. Do you know, go and check defense records of what Nigeria has been releasing for buying ammunition and the rest of it. And somebody was saying that these bandits, some of them carry Tavo, because it's Tavo arm that is an Israeli a gun that is superior gun to even AK-47, 49. So it's deep. If you say people like the Matawale press conference say they want to defend, how did they get AK-47? Because some people attack their camp and they want to go. Who provided those ammunitions to them?
Right.
We cannot continue to pretend that the commander-in-chief should give a direct order, end this now. Whatever you need from Nigeria will provide. Whoever has carried a gun against Nigeria is an enemy of the nation. Right. He's at war.
Thank you.
Let's declare war on this and let's end this nonsense.
Comrade Lanre Fadahunsi, thank you for your time. You're still here with us, but we must especially thank Mr. Deyemi Saka as well, who has said, let the president give it all it takes. Take it, and give it whatever.
I like what Mr. Saka said. That chase them even out of our territory completely. It's possible.
All right.
Quite possible.
Mr. Saka, we want to sincerely thank you for your time and your take today. It's your country, it's my country, it's our country. And so we can't afford not to tell ourselves the truth. We appreciate your concern. Thank you very much. We take a quick break right now. When we come back, we speak to some politics.